It's Friday, and I gotta say, this week has been a tumultuous week in terms of emotional upheaval in my life, with two, three big bits of news. Free League are responsible for making me want to take out another mortgage in preparation of things coming next year. Chaosium have announced a $100 book I'm going to have to consider buying. Asmodee are up for sale, but I don't have $2 billion to cover that one off. And yeah, Kickstarters themselves, we've just seen the Herbalist's Primer while emptying $80 out of my bank account. There's a lot to talk about, and I almost don't know where to start. So with Devious Dungeons, Foreboding Forests, and The Coolest Cats, welcome to the Dark Orb. And we're there. How's it going, everyone?
Good. Happy Friday, British
Happy
men.
Friday. And for some of us, it's not a work day, but Eric, my friend, I understand you still have to work this evening. So
That's when, the party happens.
quite literally, right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. For anyone who hasn't met Eric before, we literally just recorded a great interview about Mothership Reign in Blood, which is a campaign and a source book for some vampiric horror in deep space. Eric is the author of that and a stand-up guy. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Martin here to make sure that I have an open opportunity to see the life and soul drain from your heart as we look at more Kickstarter stuff that you haven't bought yet.
always. And I enjoyed that chat earlier on. Definitely, I was. I got a confession. I backed it, right? But I don't actually own Mothership because I'm holding out for the box set.
Yeah.
Well, drop $1 and just like get the pay what you want and get the.
Man, I went in for the physical. You have to deal with my
Mothership. For Mothership.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Just get the PDF and look around. There's some great Let's Plays out there too on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, I always watch a Let's Play before I commit to buying. Just to see how it flows. So, I mean.
Yeah, I've got a PDF of Mothership somewhere. I haven't read it, but as I said in our conversation earlier, is one of two sci-fi gaming experiences that really stood out for me among many were Traveller and Mothership in the last 4 or 5 years. So, but I've also really enjoyed others like Coriolis, etc., and Alien. You know, they've been great. But those two games and some of that obviously is Coriolis I love, but I'm really opinionated about how it should be run, and
I would only run it if the people playing were passionate and took the time to read the material.
Yeah,
because it's so annoying when it's something that's so meticulously constructed that I have to keep stopping the narrative to like explain. Okay, this is what they call it. Like, I don't want to have to do that. So
yeah, exactly, and it's such a rich lore.
Yeah, so rich.
You got to lean into the darkness points. There's got to be a give and take there. If as a player you're not willing to feed the GM darkness points, then because like that darkness, that's supposed to be like this kind of living thing in the background that screws with your character.
Yeah, and you got to have that push
giving the GM that tool,
Well, what actually I find more offensive is when you keep giving the GM that and they don't use it, and then they end up holding 20 or 30 darkness points. It's like negative shit is happening to the players, but because it's scripted, you don't spend the darkness points, which then means that it just feels like at some point the GM's just going to turn around and go, "Do you know what? I've got 30 darkness points. I've got to spend these. So you've got no legs now, or something,
Well, let me tell you something. My whole gaming group, we're all over 35, 40, whatever, and we all
You're so
old school.
old.
Yeah, well, whatever, man. We're like
we're all over 40.
We're like, not from like a super woke time, whatever. But like, we're all old World Darkness players. So when we make characters, they're all just flaws, dude. Like, Dark Past and Dark Fate. And so like we doing negative things or evil acts or selfish acts is not unusual in any of our games, so that wouldn't be a problem.
I was going to say, I love pre-gens when they have all these flaws, and you have to just work out what that means and play it, and that's the most difficult and the most rewarding role playing for me.
We have to, like, if I'm your DM, it gets addressed, like it gets woven into the narrative to give your character to ground your character. So it's kind of a strange comment. I mean, I guess I don't know. It's a new school. I don't know if it's a new school way of kids not wanting to, like, cross into darker territory, but that's where things get interesting. A person is defined, in my opinion, by their flaws and their struggle to overcome those flaws. It makes a character interesting.
Embrace them.
Although sometimes it's nice to, I quite enjoy a play to lose kind of game where you embrace your flaws so much that you're doomed. And it's just, how much more time can I eke out before I meet my gory end, So
it's funny you should say that, Martin, because we've got something happening next month on the Dark Orb. We're doing All Hallows Month, and we're still working out exactly what that's going to entail, but it's definitely going to have some cult Divinity Lost. Martin is it's a spoiler here. Martin is one of the players there, and is very much we've recorded a little bit of it already, just so that we can make sure that we get all the episodes out in October. Maybe the last one or last couple will be live. We haven't quite worked that out yet, but Martin's definitely embracing that. The whole party actually is just, it's great when you have a group of role players who are all determined to just embody who they've got in front of them. I'm toying with running Trophy Dark.
I've never heard of that.
So it's basically, the idea is that it's derivative of PBTA, but the concept is that you are adventurers in a place, typically a forest, and you're doomed adventurers. So you're there out of desperation. And the forest doesn't want you there, and will do whatever it can to make sure that you know that.
It's kind of more Morkborgy, where it's like
the
world is ending, and you're like, oh god. Like,
yeah, exactly. So whereas Morkborg is very much trying to think of a way to explain it. Morkborg is all about every encounter can be deadly. This is like, there are 5 chapters in this story. Those 5 chapters are predetermined, and they represent, like, the first challenge will be, fairly straightforward, and it's there kind of to tempt you, and then the next one is more ephemeral, and then it just goes into the sort of 5. It's like the gates of hell kind of thing. You get to a point where it's just like, okay, now my character's just completely screwed.
I think it's more of a personal horror, whereas Morkborg is like, the world is ending, you cannot stop it. You can try, but it ain't gonna happen. Whereas Trophy Dark is more a personal horror, and it's more like kind of The Descent, the movie, where going down into somewhere horrible, you're gonna die. Let's see how you die. That'll be fun.
Exactly that. Exactly that. And there's a lot of psychological stuff. And there is a little bit of PvP in there as well. You gain ruin, and the closer you get to ruin, the more screwed up you get. When you get to 5 ruin out of 6, basically you have an opportunity to reduce your ruin level by effectively sabotaging someone else. And in terms of the gameplay, obviously everyone knows at the table what's happening, but you as a player, you have to make it so that within the narrative, it's not too obvious. And that may or may not work depending on what you roll. But if it is successful, then you get away with it, and whatever they're trying to do is sabotage. If you're not successful, they see you do it, and you could end up doing a bit of PvP. If your ruin gets to level 6, the forest takes you.
It kind of since you put me in my mindset, Phil, it kind of reminds me of Wraith the Oblivion, where it's like a lot of personal horror.
I never got to play that.
Oh my god, you're sleeping on this.
I know. So I've played Vampire Dark Ages, Hunter, and then
Hunter. I ran Hunter for 2 years. That's good property.
I love
Hunter.
Oh
man, I love Hunter.
Mine and I have gone on about that.
My friends all hate. They like the game, but they just hate. Well, a vocal minority was like, I want to play. This is dumb. Like, I hate. So
I want to be a goth.
Yeah, I want to be goth man. Like, no, because because not to go into World Darkness theme, but like towards the end, it was like all the things were here. We had mummies, and like I was like, let's just go kill this shit. Like,
yeah,
I remember I had
take out the trash.
I had a massively OP Marine type who I don't know if this was the GM because we're going back 20 years.
Sure, yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know if the GM was just going easy on me or if somehow we just ended up with this build that was ridiculous. But basically, he had a huge arsenal of firearms, and he basically couldn't fail any rolls on that.
Firearms rolls, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So he just like walk in. And yeah, exactly.
Were you playing an Avenger, Phil?
Pretty much.
Dude, I had a Wayward in my group.
Oh man,
we played. Hold on. So we played like 10 sessions as just dudes. We're just some dudes. And the last 10 sessions they got imbued, and that's when it was like, oh, by the way, Kevin's a Wayward. He's just like blowing up buildings. It was like this. They're being chased across the country, and like that game was one of the most. It was super fun, dude. It was really fun.
I'm laughing at the comments. I'm just going to do a quick shout out to everyone who's watching. So, hi to Jason, to Sandra, to Yoel. This is why I laughed. Hunter the Awakening, be very, very quiet. We're hunting vampires.
Oh, dude, it was awesome.
I used to love Hunter the Awakening.
Yeah.
But I had a group that was very into the meta, and they really didn't like Hunter the Reckoning, and I was kind of like, yeah but it's fun, man. Like, it's just fun. We're just here to have fun. You know,
exactly. We're on the other side of it now. We play Vampire. We know it's like let's just. I mean, everyone has their camps. Like, you have your mage people. You have like your werewolf people who I've tried to get on their page. I
mean, we've got the facial hair, right? But that doesn't mean that we just necessarily empathize.
Let's make the most ridiculous combat monsters. Like, I don't want to tell that kind of story. You know what I mean? But anyway, so like when Hunter came around, it was kind of like the twilight of World Darkness, and it's like,
fair.
Let's go explore these other properties I won't ever play, but let's go and kill these things, and then like take out some of the trash, whatever. But I would say going back to Wraith the Oblivion, which you're talking about, Wraith was almost an unplayable game. It's a concept game, but the original book, if you can find it, Phil, just pick it up and flip through it. The concepts there are the gaming concepts, like where you're playing your character, the guy next to you is playing your shadow, which is like your ego, like he's taunting you the whole game. So the players are all it's really interesting, and then you're going across this Stygian landscape, and there's like it's a really beautiful setting that I think was passed over because it's just such a heady concept to wrap your mind around.
You have to have the brain power to make it work. I bought Modifius had a sale. Do you know, I've got no idea when it was now, but I want to say it was like 5 months ago, with the Fall of London. So, and the Anarch and Camarilla for the 5th edition.
Oh, when they kill Mithras or whatever?
Yeah.
They kill the Assamite, whatever.
Hashtag spoilers.
That's spoilers. That's spoilers.
It's fine. Man. Being as exactly. I'm not going to bother now.
You could do, Phil. You could do a whole session of the Dark Orb, just talking about the lore update from the 90s to now and all the changes with the Tremere, and that is such a hot button. My friends and I still argue about it because they wanted everything in a capsule. Like, no, it's the 90s. We have flip phones. There's no internet. It's like, no,
that's fine. Let's just play Cyberpunk and be done with it. The problem is that I have not revisited Vampire Masquerade since early 2000s. I played Dark Ages 2004, 2005, maybe.
Sure.
But I haven't revisited since then. So anything I do now is going to be from scratch. I basically remember none of it.
Well, it sounds like Eric's booked himself back on the show then, really.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it.
I ran a game. I ran Atlanta by Night. I did 15 sessions, and it was kind of like just to make everybody happy, I took elements from the old and the new, and I kind of gelled them together in a way that made sense. Because I mean, again, not to turn this to a World Darkness podcast, but there's been updates, like the pieces have moved, and and it just you have to shake up your game world. Even 40K, like they brought back Gilliman, whatever, the Ultramarine, just to shake up the game world a little bit, to create some new adventures. And keep in mind, dude, this game is made for a new generation of players who are new to the property. So let's give them something not just keep giving the same stuff. And you've only printed all these books 3-4 times. You need more materials.
And I have said, go on.
I was just going to say, I think people tend to hate me when I run like kind of meta heavy games like that, because I try to ignore it at every single point. I'm like, yeah, there's all these big things happening in the background, but let's get on to what's actually important to your character, rather than like this huge, oh look, there's Mithras, and it's like, yeah, but realistically, you're not dealing with that, man. You're just trying to get by night to night, sucking a little bit of blood and not getting staked by some hunters. It's.
I mean, if we're going to talk about
personal thing,
if we want to just talk very quickly about World of Darkness, I did see this was announced, and I'm kind of concerned about the pricing.
Yeah, I was going to tag you. I was going to tag you this on Facebook.
I remember my copy of the book. Yeah, it must be, but I remember my book of Nod. It was like a zine. I mean, it wasn't big.
It was like a poem in prose. It was kind of like a prose. It had a very apocryphal.
It was small, though. That's what I mean. It wasn't a large book. It was like a graphic novel in terms of physical size.
Dude, back
was
when I
that
was
the one that came out right at the end of the run?
It
because
was
I know they brought
halfway
those
through.
Oh, okay. Because I know they brought those
90s,
ones out that kind of finished the meta plot ish.
No, that was what's the guy's name? Richard Dawson. Like he kind of came in later and started writing. Like this is what happened during Gehenna, and this is what that obviously Gehenna stuff's been retconned. But let me tell you something, man. Back in my hardcore goth days, when I was like super goth man,
I had this. Hey, I've still got a leather trench coat right over there. So
I had it on my coffee table, man. Like girls be like, "What is this?" You don't look at that. It's too intense. It'll blow your mind. This talks about like Lilith.
That's all true.
It's all true. What is the White Wolf game? Don't worry about that. This is a gaming company. Shut up. It's not a.
That is the game. You're a player. But yeah, Book of Nod, they're reissuing it. It's $50. Maybe it's a hardback. I don't know.
If it was a hardback, I'd consider.
Faux leather-bound book. Damn it! I want real leather-bound.
Yeah, they should really come on, man. They can do that. $50. Did it increase the size on it too? Is it still like the pocket size?
Well, that's what I was wondering. It doesn't say, but I'll bet that they've made it. I hope they've made it normal role-playing game size, so at least it looks good on the shelf.
It's really so right now White Wolf is owned by a gaming company, like a video game company.
It's Complex, yeah. So the license is owned by Paradox, I think.
Yeah, Paradox Gaming, and then
Paradox Interactive, I think.
Onyx Path does a lot of like the supplemental stuff for it, and then there's like independent contributors. So it's not there's not really.
I think Mark did the layout for the 5th edition core rule book.
Yeah, they did.
Did they?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah, they one of the guys there did an interview recently. He was talking about it. That was the first I'd heard of it. But they did some of the layout there.
There's
so damn pretty.
So I mean, I know you talked about this before, but there really is a push and pull now between being an art book and being a role playing book. Yeah. Hey man, like I need to get at this. I need to get at these core stats to teach myself. When I have to like, it's just that I don't know. I feel like I need like an appendix or some kind of like dungeon master's guide for some of this stuff now, because I'm having like boom, boom, boom to get through to stat stuff, like crib notes or something.
What I do for every role playing book is, let me just grab. In fact, the Simbra one is right here. So
yeah,
this is what I have to do in order to be able to go backwards and forwards. Is that on every role-playing book that I run with, and it's time-consuming. Speaking of time-consuming things, though, hello to Doug.
Dun 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 dun.
What is going on? I'm gonna turn my green screen off, I guess.
I was gonna say that's
kind of Max Headroom action over there. It was like it's all rasterized.
I'm sorry I'm late. I was still picking up any awards at Gen Con for Free League Publishing.
Oh my god!
And that's why I couldn't be here on time.
Victory Conditions Gaming presenter.
If you'd like, I thought about wearing them all to the stream, but then I'd be like hunched over at this point, and I wouldn't be able, and like I'd probably sprain my neck.
That would be fine, because then you'd be showing off your grays, and we'd all feel better.
You see, I thought you used that money to go and buy new audio video equipment and stop filming in like in your garage. I don't know, because now you're in 1080p.
It's like living room.
I know, right? It's
no wallpaper in the background.
I can. Well, here, let's put. I can put this down if you want. You guys can see it in my kitchen. If you, I was trying to be somewhat professional for Phil's stream, but
I don't need to show me up, buddy. Don't show me up.
Yeah, I was trying to make it like actually be somewhat professional, but
don't worry about it, Doug. I'm here to drag it all down.
So Jason says Doug has a bad back from all the awards and modesty.
Damn,
and
dude.
Sandro says you got to wear your Ennies like Mr. T.
I did actually. I don't. Here, I'm gonna put them all on.
Oh, he's got them there.
I hope.
Are you gonna bite them? Are you gonna bite them and see if they're actually gold?
No. Oh no, we lost Doug.
The camera couldn't take the humble brags. Shut off.
Now
you think if he bites them, we'll see that they mark.
This is ridiculous. Basically, I wanted to come on and just say thank you to everybody for making this happen and making this possible. But I'm not qualified to wear these at all. No, let's just put that out there. I am the least qualified of anybody that has any kind of connection with Free League to be wearing these medals. But
you're gonna keep them anyway.
It's just too bad. It's too bad you're married, Doug. You can't use that to push your game.
Right.
You can just walk around bars.
We're gonna do this. There we go.
Okay, Doug. How many was it?
It was 8. Yeah. It was 8.
And how many gold and how many silver?
There's 6 gold and 2 silver.
Well, they just fell down there with those two, didn't they? What was going on?
Exactly.
So let the team down there.
Wait a second. I got to take off my headphones down to take these off. I really, honestly, and I'm like I said, I felt ridiculous just putting those on right there, and I should. There's just no. I have no right to wear those.
Don't back down now. Don't back down.
Just own it. Just own it. Just
own it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta project the guy you want to be, Doug. You can't just live in the past, man. You gotta.
Those of you who are watching us live, I can see we've got a few. Thank you very much for joining us. If you enjoy the show, please hit the like button. Help us get XP so we can level up and slay the dragon. However, those of you who are live, please, in the comments, tell us what you think Doug won those awards for.
What did Doug
personally win the awards
what did
for?
I win those for? I'll tell you what, it wasn't for my acceptance speeches for those awards, that's for sure.
Were they recorded?
So, if you would like some inside information, I don't want to just cop on here and take over the show. I hope everybody's okay with this. So when
Doug was at Gen Con. Let's just say that bit for
what's that?
So Doug was at Gen Con representing Free League.
Yeah, it was an amazing event. That's my first Gen Con, to be honest with you, and I loved every minute of it. It was so great connecting with folks, and it was so great. We were busy nonstop at the Free League booth, from opening. We were busy even before we opened. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, there's nothing. Going.
What's that?
I said I regret not going because I didn't know it was just COVID. I didn't know what the hell to do.
You should have came, Eric.
Well, no, I mean Dragon Con, but I was gonna go, but it was
you were right there.
It was 2 blocks from my house, but I just okay. So listen, the website was all over the place. I couldn't. Yeah. No one could see the information. I was gonna go and host some mothership stuff there, and it was broken. And then my buddies went, and they told me Dragon Con was a lot like how it used to be in the 90s and 2000s, where it was you could actually walk around and go to the bathroom and find your friends. And I totally regret because I told Andrew I was gonna go down and have beers, and I just.
You should have just messaged me and just be like, "Hey, I'm coming over," and we would have waited for you and done something with the after hours.
I regret it. We'll see what we'll see.
Doug won the awards for lock picking the awards safe.
If only I were that skilled. If only I were that.
I'm just glad somebody won these awards that is actually good and people and they're friendly. Andrew's a rad dude. I mean.
The thing of it is the Ennies Awards this year was my first Ennies award ceremony to go to, and it was super fun, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But there were so many great indie RPG publishers that were nominated, that won, and that not only were nominated but that won, and you could tell that they were they were so appreciative of winning those awards, and it was just it was so awesome to see all these people that, because a lot of them are just doing it in their spare time,
right?
They're putting passion in their evenings and their weekends, time that they're putting away that they don't that they're probably putting aside even though they have families and other things going on, like, and you could just tell that like they were genuinely just like totally appreciative of the response, and that was really, really awesome to see. And that was the best part of the Ennies is seeing all these people that put, you know, not all these publishers. I mean, not that I'm discrediting like some of the big publishers, but like it was nice to see some of these folks that want to get a foothold in the industry and just create games and get people gaming and make a cool product get recognized. And that was really, really neat in my opinion.
I mean, that's kind of like my story. It's like we just got done talking about that, how like I feel like what's coming out of the DIY space is rivaling some of the studios. Those guys, what was it? Into the Weird Wastelands. They did like $1 million on Kickstarter. That's $1 million for a source. I mean, that's crazy, man. The guy, that a bunch of 5e stuff is like just exploding right now, and like it's crazy. All the best stuff is 3PP. All the best stuff is third party, in my opinion, right now.
Exactly. And we've got a few of those to talk about. As I say, we've got a few of those to talk about.
This is Blade Runner, man. Let's get into this. I got questions.
Well, before we do that, we were talking about the Book of Nod, and there's something that I've just realized that I totally blanked on. And I just have to show you this. So we were discussing, Doug, I don't know if you remember the Book of Nod from Vampire the Masquerade back in the late 90s, probably.
No, I wasn't allowed to play that.
It was like a...
Oh, my God.
Well, we can fix that now. But it was like a graphic novel size, if memory serves correctly. Paperback, so soft cover. And, $15, $20 tops. Renegade of publishing it as a hardback, a hardcover with faux leather bound. And I've just spotted this. And before we move on and start talking about the real big news for this time, I have to show you this. The limited edition Book of Nod Deluxe Artifact, $250. Nice. And it's 14 parchment scrolls, handwritten journal, in blood, polystone tablet, various notes, letters. I mean, this is some serious next level stuff, right?
Well, we're older now. We can afford nice things. Phil, we can.
Yeah, they don't ship them to the UK though, because they haven't sorted out their international shipping yet.
It's amazing to me. Like, speaking of the price point of this, like $250, like pre-COVID, I would have been like, you're all insane. Like putting a product like this out for $250. But after seeing what I've seen at Dragon Con and Gen Con, people are spending money. And they're not spending a little bit of money. They're spending a lot of money. So
now there's no gas in here. There's no petrol.
They're not going out drinking anymore, are they?
Right.
Exactly that as well.
They got to spend their money somewhere.
I mean, our neighbours built a bar, built a pub in their back garden. So they don't go out drinking anymore. They just do it there, which is fine.
Yeah, it's just a shift to. It's just in my opinion, it's like a shift to the hobby is getting more serious every day. Like it's just they'll pay for it, man.
And I gotta say, Critical Role changed everything.
Yeah,
I don't
love it or hate it. Yeah, I
agree. I think they did to a point. I think there's a few factors. That's probably one of them. But yeah, definitely.
But I think that was the real gateway that then made people start taking note. Other news before we look at Kickstarters. Doug, Asmodee for sale.
Yeah, they've got a price point.
They certainly have.
Yeah, I don't. I think that's probably a negotiating price point. I think that's probably where they want to start out at the negotiation table for it. So I would say that if they're probably not going to get the amount that they're asking for, but yeah, it's interesting that they're for sale.
Yeah, Martin and I were discussing in the green room earlier the kinds of companies that might purchase them. And it's really interesting when you think about it, because I mean, you could quite easily see Hasbro going for them. I don't think that's where I would.
I don't think that Hasbro will do it,
but I could imagine like a big printing house maybe going for it, or another VC.
I bet it's some sort of investment firm.
Yeah,
it's going to be somebody that we don't know. It's somebody that's going to be buying
private equity.
It's it's going to be some firm or that's going to buy it up, and pump it up, and then they're going to sell it. I mean that's
what happened the last time around. The only other thing I can think of is if it's a company like a private equity firm that doesn't do that level of investment and does keep hold of its portfolio, but that also has a very established printing company, so that they can actually effectively route all of the the production to another
Possibly,
company they own,
but
which could
But then you're tying up your printer. You're guaranteeing yourself work, but you're not also servicing like other companies.
I think that's fine if you're already like doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my ideas were a bit more pie in the sky. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think it'll be Bezos. I think he's smart enough to know not to. That's probably not a huge gain for him.
We talked about Paradox buying White Wolf. I mean, like, if you can like franchise out some of this stuff, like make video games and comic, like that's kind of like what Paradox I think is doing, because they have a lot of video games coming out for World of Darkness now.
Yeah,
that
that's one of the reasons why when Phil said Critical Role, I was going to say that the reason why RPG books and tabletop in general has exploded is because of the fact that tabletop is not just tabletop anymore. You've got movies, you've got video games, you've got like
these
TV
IPs.
series. You've got a lot of multimedia presence with some of these IPs tied up, and therefore it's just that's why it's booming. I think one of the reasons. There's other reasons too, but that would be one of the main ones.
One thing to watch. we're talking about Games Workshop and 40K. I mean, that's what they're getting away from the model game. We're going into multimedia. They're like producing content, Warhammer Plus, and like although they can see they're afraid of 3D printing, which they probably should be. So now it's like let's make films and games, and that's the model now.
They're going after content creators. They're going after anybody that's trying to make any kind of gain on their IP. They're going to go after, and that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed.
Why do they have such bad community outreach? Like, I feel like that's like the biggest complaint about Warhammer. No one knows what's going on, and they don't talk to the community really. They're very insular. I don't know why that is.
I don't know. I'm not huge in the war. My assumption is that they've got a lot of people that do things really well, but nobody seems to be on the same page.
Right.
They don't have someone to kind of gather all the information and go, okay, this is going to be our person that communicates.
It screams of me of a company that grew, which they did very, very quickly. And in some ways, because they grew so quickly, they never got out of the startup phase in some areas of the business.
Well, there's a new CEO, and he's the one who pushed all the new era stuff. But like, my buddy, who's a big 40K guy, I'm like a moderate 40K guy. Right. One of the biggest exports out of Great Britain was Games Workshop stuff during the shutdown. That's a major export for Britain. That's something that's something to me where that's a Bezos thing. Let me get 40K. I own that now, and here's all the TV, anime. We got all because people. That's a big property that no one. It's still kind of like normies don't know what it is. Like if you ever try to explain 40K to your girlfriend or your wife, it's not something you can easily do.
It's little blokies really move them around with the tape measure.
It's like Emperor. It's 40,000. I can't move.
I mean,
anyway,
personally, I thought that that you might see someone coming out from outside like Nintendo, because Niantic were working with Asmodee at one point to take Pokemon Go and make it into Catan. So there's links there with Nintendo, and it could help them diversify. They've been pushing towards board games for quite a while.
Yeah, they had
the links with Lego. They've got like a $9 billion war chest at the minute, Nintendo. They could just go, we'll have it. See, you start making Mario board games for us instead of licensing it out to all these other companies.
And that's where somewhere like Disney, I think, would be a better bet, because they have so many different licenses. Like you've got Star Wars with Fantasy Flight and all that sort of stuff. But I'm still not sure it's something they would want to.
But even
they'd want to go to,
right? But even Disney has like people that do their own, like they don't do the toys and they have somebody else to do that, and then they sign off on it. Like that's I still don't think that
So I could see, but it would be really interesting to see the outcome of that. We were touching on IPs, intellectual properties, and I guess the biggest piece of news,
which is finally out. I'm so glad.
Oh my
I hate
God,
you for not
man.
telling us. Basically,
You and Tomas be conspiring right there.
I've known about this since February of last year.
Blade Runner, February.
The art, it looks really good. I've seen so far.
I've known
and the music as well, which was Simon Stollenhag.
Like that right there is really baller, man.
That's Martin Grip's work for the artwork. I had another one. Where is it?
Yeah,
like that is totally worth the price for the book, but I have questions about these gameplay mechanics.
Like, yeah, I mean, that's something that we were talking about as well. All right,
okay, like look, okay, like I get you can't. I mean, I get it's like all in the wraps, but like we've only ever seen these characters in like a solo role, and you know, like, it's like one guy on a noir quest to do. So I can't imagine I have a PC party of dudes. I mean, I don't know. I had to see the framework for this.
I see what you're saying. So this is not so much about the mechanics, so much as
how do you tie that into an RPG?
Yeah, like I have me and my 4 buddies. We all a squad or a task force of Blade Runners. Like we're just kicking down doors and
well, I'm guessing it's stuff like Blade Runner, like the actual detective, and then you've got like all of the roles within a police force. So you've got people that like, you know, you've got maybe you've got medics, maybe you've got people that go out and they do like, you know, wrecking.
He's drinking it over.
Like looking around. I mean, I don't know.
I literally cannot say anything during this conversation, so
that's fine. You can listen to us speculating. But there was a little bit of information on the site. So basically,
on the site it says you work for the
Red
LA
unit.
Yeah. So you're a cop basically. I would like at some point, if you can pass this up the chain or across the chain, wherever you are in the chain, Doug, down the chain. You've got all the medals. You've got all the medals, so it's
you're top brass.
Yeah.
I'm like the guy that wishes he could at least hold the chain. That's where I'm in.
So you're like the caretaker of the medals.
Yeah, I'm
okay. So if you could pass it like kind of way up the chain, then at some point, could we have a expansion book that allows you to not play a cop?
You want to play robbers?
I want to play. I want to play a replicant cell that's working on the underground, trying to save other replicants.
Right. I can visualize that plot point because we've seen a group of replicants work together. From the other side, the Deckard side, that's where I'm confused because like you're a SWAT team of
effectively solo detectives. Yeah, I can see what you're saying, but I think
I like
from the other side,
I like Blade Runner, but that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about it. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with it. The art's going to be amazing because Martin Grip did an amazing job for Alien and everything else he's ever done.
I'm surprised you didn't jump on Terminator, man. That would have been the one I thought you would have jumped on before it got picked up by somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, Gasca wrote that, right?
Yeah, he wrote it.
And it went to...
I don't know who it went to, but...
Oh, God, what's the name? Basically, the guys who did Slay Industries, like Nightfall.
Nightfall did Terminator. Yeah,
but there's so much stuff. There's so much material there, so I could see that.
Yeah, but the system they use is very love it, hate it.
Isn't it a D100 system?
I think they use the S2S system from Slay.
Like roll under system, like a roll under.
Yeah. Which that book's going to be beautiful too. It's going to be a great book, and Gasca's.
Is he on board with that? Because I don't think it lists any of the people that are actually working on the books
on Blade Runner. On
Blade Runner? No, Gasca's not on that one. Gasca's got a lot of things in the works.
I'm glad.
I'll tell you, the person that is writing the Blade Runner RPG.
It was announced somewhere.
Huge fan and is super qualified to do it. And I'm not gonna name who it is.
It's in the public domain. So
show of hands, who has actually read "Do Androids Dream Electric Sheep"?
I got about halfway through it and then got really bored.
Oh, right then and there, baby.
I mean, it's like I get the feeling that this RPG is about the films, really.
It has to be
the original.
It's super
it's
wild.
After the second movie, it's set. Joe LaFavi.
Yeah, but I mean, they're drawing from that.
Yeah. Oh, they did say they say who the writer's going to be. Okay,
LaFavi. So
Joe is awesome, by the way. Joe is terrific.
Yeah.
I've met him a few times. We've actually had dinner together. This is how I'm
everyone,
name dropping. For those of you that haven't watched these streams before, this is the segment where I just name drop all the time.
Just show your medals again.
Yeah, exactly. Here, like,
you gotta be from the Midwest, though.
Joe is.
Can I ask? Did you meet Joe LaFave in the bathroom?
No. No, I met him
the humble brag is on parade over here.
Yeah, Joe is terrific, and I will see if Joe's very busy because he works with a lot of different IPs. But this project, I'll tell you what, he's a huge Blade Runner fan. This project is a dream come true for him. So congratulations to Joe. This is going to be a huge success. And I'm so excited for him. And
just working, we're freely. It's just
And Joe, when you watch this, please come on the show when you're allowed to talk.
Is this going to be? Can you tell us this, Doug? Is this going to be a pre-order rather than a Kickstarter?
I think they've said that already. I think they said it wasn't.
I didn't think it mentioned that.
It's not. I don't believe. Last I knew, I don't think that they've officially said one way or the other. But last I knew, it was just going to be a pre-order.
Yeah, I assumed like Alien, it was going to be a pre-order, but
I think there's a media kit that's gone out to like places like Battle of Lost Souls and stuff like that, and there are a couple of articles that I know of have said it's not going to Kickstarter.
Yeah. So, plus, I mean, we kind of use Kickstarter for our own IP projects. This is. I mean, not to brag, but Alien was a huge success for us as a pre-order. And if we can use Kickstarter to kind of use it as a marketing tool for our own,
that's what
IPs,
a lot of us do. A lot of us do that.
You know, that's what we're gonna do.
I'm actually surprised you guys even kickstarted like the One Ring stuff because that was like a guaranteed. Why you share that money with Kickstarter? That's a guaranteed.
Well, I think that was more of a ploy. Like again, it was a marketing ploy.
My God,
I think because of the fact that there was an existing pre-order. There was a previous pre-order for it. We didn't want to make sure that we weren't confused like between the two. I don't know. I'm not. Thomas is probably the best person to answer that. There's certain arrangements that we can only do with the One Ring and everything, and so maybe that was part of the agreement when they signed on.
Just
if you're using Kickstarter as well, it's you get that email where it's like, hey, you backed all these other things that Free League launched on Kickstarter. How about this?
Well, it's like the 10% you give them. So like the $100,000 they got to give or whatever it is. Like that's the thing about it. It's like it's a pretty big check. You got to cut those dudes at 10%.
It is. But at this point, Kickstarter is a huge marketing tool for the tabletop industry. I mean, say what it is. I mean, you could either take that 10% and give it to Kickstarter. You could take that 10% and put it in Facebook ads or Board Game Geek ads or whatever. You could put it into marketing, and you probably what's your better return?
Well,
then you don't get really cool people like us talking about
I would
it on
never have
show,
met.
right?
I would never have met Phil complaining about my Kickstarter campaign.
Did Phil complain about your? Did Phil complain about your Kickstarter?
I got on my high horse about it.
He got really. His accent got really wild. He was like throwing books, like "No shipping to UK, son of a bitch!" Like he's going bananas or whatever.
Phil, what are you doing, man?
I'm alienating my audience so that they join the show. Obviously,
guilt has a very powerful effect on me. Don't tell girls this, but it's very true. I mean, it's just.
I'm just really pissed because that guy that's running Rain in Blood for Mothership hasn't sent me any cats or given me his car.
I do Kickstarter is a weird thing, right? Because I hate the entitlement of Kickstarter backers. That there's something that's kind of gotten out of hand a little bit with Kickstarter.
I agree,
but I do love constructive criticism on that platform, and unfortunately there's so much entitlement that a lot of that constructive criticism kind of gets pushed aside because of the fact that folks just complain about every little thing, and then it's just like, okay, well, we're not really helping the creator in this situation. And that's basically what I'm trying to tell Phil is you're not being very helpful on these when you rage on these Kickstarter campaigns.
I had people.
Whose bright idea was it for the Friday fill-in?
I had a guy, not sort of fight. I had a guy in my comments like, I don't understand why this, and somebody else to come. I had to moderate my comments a little bit. Hey, chill, it's coming. Chill out, dude. It's a zine.
A really good example of this right now. The Anycubic Photon Ultra 3D printer, where they had
comments on that.
They crashed Kickstarter.
Oh,
because they said
review bombed it or something.
No. first 300 get a really awesome super early bird, which is below cost. Then like the next 300.
Don't do that.
I don't know.
If you're a Kickstarter, I'm going to say right now, listen, if you're a Kickstarter creator and you put out a campaign, don't do early birds. I hate them. Hate them.
Thanks, Doug. I was like a lone voice on this channel, saying that.
The most I did for mine, at my highest backer level, I forgot to attach the rewards. So people bought it to $50 without sight unseen. And then they're like, well, what's it going to be? I'm like, well, hold on. I'm still making the art graphic for it.
But this guy's not shipping to the US. To the UK.
Oh, my God.
So, I mean, that was my criticism, though, Doug, was that I get irritated when people, and actually Eric had a very different explanation for it, and that made perfect sense. But when someone says, I'm only shipping to the US because it's going to be too expensive for you if I offer it as international shipping. Now, Eric's argument is actually, it's not that. It's just me, and I have to write out all those address labels, and I have to pack all those things, and I don't know the formats for non-American addresses.
Yeah, I don't have
that is very
cool
different.
Free League dudes behind me like packing envelopes.
That is very different from me saying, "Hey, I designed this thing. I'm going to sell you my product, but I don't think you'll want to buy my product, even if I charge you $50 for shipping." Yeah. And that I get annoyed with, because I don't like people making that decision for me. I like to make my bad decision all on my own.
So when you said that it's just me, I thought you were saying it was you, that he just didn't want to have you.
Oh, no.
His Kickstarter.
So 500 envelopes in my townhouse with my cats running around. Like, this guy's gonna get. Well, he's getting this. Just the administrative workload. That's why.
Exactly.
I'm really sorry, Eric, that I ordered from Sweden.
Hey, man, I wasn't gonna do pledge manager, but Madison made a very strong argument for it. She knows it's the 4-man crew over there. So whatever nonsense you put in that survey, Martin, is what label printer. Bam, goodbye. It could be on a
That's really cool that they're going to fulfill that for you. That's really good. But yeah, with AnyCubic, what happened was a whole bunch of people then tried to get on at the same time. Obviously, the Kickstarter crashed, and then they did two things. One, they said, "Hey, if you can prove that you were trying to buy this and the server crashed at the time you were trying to buy it, then we'll honor it, provided you have a screenshot."
Who does that?
Hang on. Exactly. Provided you have a screenshot of it not working.
Who's going to take a screenshot knowing that
a bunch of people did, but then a lot of other people are going, "Oh, I've been ripped off because AnyCubic will only give me the early backer discount and not the super early bird. So the early bird, not the super early bird. The early bird is at cost, and people are getting pissed off because the AnyCubic will only give me this product at cost and not at a loss." And I'm like, well, that's just shut up.
See. I get the mentality of early bird, like that whole mechanic and that whole gimmick, but what you're doing is you're penalizing the backers that come to your product after the fact, after the first, like you're penalizing them, and they feel jaded because of the fact that, hey, guess what? Yeah, I didn't know about your brand or your product before it, so now I'm paying more for it. That doesn't make you feel good.
Yeah, and also that person is usually a new backer,
right?
Because the ones that you've already had backing you before have got the emails, they're in there early. Exactly. These are the people you get in the second wave.
Right.
Exactly.
Your cost of acquisition is more for those new backers than it is for existing backers. So those all you're doing is undercutting yourself by giving your existing fans or existing backers a discount, because it's costing you more in the long run to get those new ones.
They should do new backer discount.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? You really should. You'd be like, hey, you know what? If you're if you've backed one of my previous Kickstarters and you know somebody that wants to kick back a Kickstarter, here's a code, a referral code. Give it to one of your friends, and they'll get $5 off, and maybe or just some sort of discount, and then give them some sort of I don't know.
Exactly.
There's a whole
there's a loyalty program for your products.
There should be.
I can see cogs turning in Eric's head here.
Oh, the next Kickstarter.
I was like the eyebrow went.
How can I penalize my current fans?
How can I capitalize on all these rubes who are buying my
the eyebrow did it again.
Here's the thing, like that's the best part about free, like working with Free League. Like this is one of the big things that I've noticed is that when people pick up our games, they tell other people about them.
Sure, I did.
Like it's amazing. So as a creator, you want to have that happen. How do you do that? Like how do you get that? I mean, A, you put out a good product, and B, you give you give your customer base tools to make it happen.
Yeah, that's why I like those sometimes in Kickstarters where they have the kind of social unlocks. Where it's like if we get so many shares, if we get this, that, and the other, then it will unlock.
That's a good point there, Martin. I didn't think about that. That's a good point. Next time around.
And the thing about social unlocks is it's something that you were going to do anyway, but it does actually then help people to feel engaged.
They're playing their part. Even the guys who aren't like, I just want to back the project for $1. Well, do your part and share it on your tweet, because I have zero Twitter presence, man, like zero. So like anybody,
I noticed that.
Yeah, it's just I don't fuck with Twitter, man. It's
I don't like Twitter myself. I think it's just everybody screaming at the same time. I can't take it.
But that's because Doug's all on the TikToks. So,
he's doing Korean K-pop. I can see that. No,
gotta hop on those trends.
Yeah, I can only do two: Facebook and Discord. That's my two. I love those two platforms for stuff like this. That's it. That's all I got time for.
Hey Phil, when are we going to talk about Kickstarters?
We're going to do that next week. So Doug,
yes,
you I'm going to let you talk about this first one because you've got some insider knowledge on Mecha Monsters Evolved.
Oh yes.
I know that you already had an interview.
There's an interview on our channel with Alan Barr. Which
channel is that?
That is Victory Condition Gaming.
Go check it out. Be a patron.
Feel free to
join their Patreon. Join our Patreon, and be merry.
Feel free to check that out. Alan's a great designer, a great friend. I've gotten to know him. Actually, it was like 5 years ago, almost to the day, that I met Alan because of the first edition of Mechas and Monsters. It is basically Tiny D6. I don't know if folks are familiar with the Tiny D6 system. You're
Let's
basically
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
It's a very rules light, minimalistic role-playing game. Most of the time you're rolling 2d6 whenever you want to perform a check. What's that?
Do they have to be really small D6s?
No, it doesn't have to be just 2d6. And if you roll a 5 or a 6, you succeed. Okay.
Andy just said, "Is it very small dice?"
Super really easy system. So if you have disadvantage in a system or in a situation, you roll 1d6. If you have advantage in a situation, you roll 3d6. Roll a 5 or 6 on any of the die, you succeed. That's the system. That's all you have to learn. It's super easy.
I've seen iterations of that before. Like I think even like Cyberpunk is kind of like that. Like the die pool is pretty low, and you add 2 dice together. And
it's super fun. It's like this is a system where you're just playing. It's like Pacific Rim, the RPG. If you loved Pacific Rim, and you want a rules light system that basically just get up and go and play, like this is the game for you.
So I'll take you to task on that because I'd say this because anytime there's a game that involves robots, there's crunch because it's like these systems and modifiers. So like that's why I'm like I don't necessarily want to go and do all this stuff. But if it's really easy, like Mech Hack came out, which is great because it crunches all that stuff down.
John Schmidt stopped by the Free League booth at Gen Con and dropped off a copy of the Mecha Hack and for me. And thank you so much, John. If you're seeing this, I don't know. But I haven't gotten a chance to dive into it. But he said, if you love mech, RPGs, this is a must have. So it's not very big. It's very small. And you could probably, condense everything down to a few pages as well with Mechas and Monsters. But it's super fun.
See, Fanjuro's got my back. He knows what I'm talking about. I know, right?
Would you say it's more of like a one-shotty kind of thing, or can you actually play a couple of games?
You can play campaign. There's actually a campaign in this new book where this is what Alan said, where you can play as the side of the mechas and the side of the kaiju.
You got a role play as a kaiju?
Yeah, you can play as a kaiju as well.
Destruction.
And I think it's the campaign's written by Banana Chan and
there we go.
Right there. Senfun Lim. Yep. And yeah, you can play and then you can play in either side and then merge them together.
I actually have a Savage Worlds setting. I think it's called like Dawn of the Kaiju or something, which I haven't gotten to play yet because I actually do find Savage Worlds to be incredibly crunchy. It doesn't look it on the surface, but actually when you get down to playing it, you have to have your brain engaged in a way that I don't love.
Well, let me tell you about this. We started playing Warhammer Fantasy again, which is pretty crunchy, but we use a VTT, which is awesome because I just hit a button now and it tells me where I hit the person, how much damage, and combat goes like this. Before, if you play Warhammer Fantasy before, you avoid fights. It just takes so damn long to navigate. But so I'm kind of curious to play a mech game in a VTT though, for that reason, because like these missiles hit this joint and it explodes and like, I don't know. That's interesting. I'll take a look at that.
I mean, sometimes with a game like that, you want to abstract it a bit, and you just want to pretend you're in a big stompy mech, or you just want to grab a building and tear it in half and hit the big stompy mech. You know?
Yeah.
I just want to play Rampage, but in a role playing game, man.
It looks like this will do it, but do you know there's a reason why I'm not going to back this?
Why is because
shipping
he's back. I know what this is about. This is about shipping.
This is about print on demand for international backers. That's what it is with him.
Phil hates print on demand.
I just, every time I get print on demand, it's fine. Absolutely fine. And I don't want
Phil,
fine.
Phil, you're an RPG snob, my friend.
I don't want my
But you need a guy like Phil to keep you honest. You need a guy like Phil out there in the
That's true. That's true.
Honest, like, well, man, don't slack on this.
Here's the thing.
To ruin my bank account with shipping. That's what I'm asking you to. Please help me empty my wallet on ridiculous customs charges.
You know what? In today's climate, I understand it.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing that I was going to say has kind of elevated the tabletop industry is because the quality of books, the quality of products, like everything's gone to the next level. So I think I agree. Like. Whereas it was okay to kind of put out RPGs and put out print on demand copies and everything. Yeah, you could probably do all right, but now it's like customers expect a really high product for what they're paying for, and they don't mind paying for it. And so it's like we've raised our bar like really high as far as what
I kind of want to blame Free League to an extent for that because
it's the art content
because
now.
Free League do amazing books. They work with really great publishers, printers rather, and they make it look cheap.
Well, I don't know if they make it look cheap. They definitely
do, because then you look at something like Worlds Without Number or something, and it's $120.
Yeah, but that's one guy. That's one guy.
But that's my point, which actually means that it then makes it really hard to have to know where the barometer should be.
The barometer should always be what you are willing to pay for the product you are looking at.
Well, I mean, and that's my point with the whole shipping thing. I want to pay the shipping for a product I want to have on my table. It's as simple as that.
And I think Free League is partly to blame in this situation, but I think Modifius was doing it even before Free League kind of started. Modifius makes beautiful, high quality books. Onyx Path makes beautiful, high quality books.
Yeah,
100%.
Like I as much as we love to single out publishers, I think everybody's kind of realized, hey, this is a premium product. This is a luxury item. It needs to have that luxury feel and quality.
But this is what I'm getting at with Free League is that, you look at Onyx Path or you look at Modifius and the books are not cheap. I mean, look at if you want to do a drive-through RPG of Vampire or Mage the whatever the latest anniversary edition is, you're looking at $100 to get the book, and then you look at Free League and you get this amazing book of questionably the same level of quality for $40 or so. It makes it really complicated to really definitely know that everything else is priced great, because Free League does such a great job. But ultimately, it also means that you get really accustomed to being able to get that really high quality book very easily.
Oh, did we lose Eric?
Yeah, we lost Eric. He'll come back.
I mean, the problem there is there's a lot of factors in the background there. You got to look at print run size. You got to look at where the people are in the world.
Oh, I know that.
I think like Fria Liga use a Latvian printer, do they?
They do, yeah.
Which a lot of the American companies won't use. You know,
well, they're already over there too. They're already on that. They're already on that side of the pond. So
I mean, there's so many factors, and this is one of the things, like Doug was talking before about entitlement on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And when someone comes into the comment section and they say something like, "Oh my God, why are your prices so high compared to this person?" And it's like, well, that person is expecting a 2,000 to 3,000.
Yeah, they get a bulk rate,
and I'm printing like 100 zines. What the hell do you expect?
Like so for my zine, like if I had chosen to print in black and white, I would have saved $700 on printing.
Exactly,
but I didn't raise
much. But
I didn't raise the price of the zine. It's still $15, so you can get. But honestly, it probably should have been closer to like $18 to offset the cost. But like I didn't want to do that. So now I might have inadvertently set an expectation level for the next guy, being like, well, he had it in color $15, and that's what so I don't know, and I hadn't thought about that. You know,
it drives indie creators' prices down.
You're goddamn right.
It drives indie creators' prices down,
right?
Because they can't put out the amount like
this is
you know,
kind of
when they launch something, they know they're going to print a bucket load of books, right?
And this is kind of what I'm saying, that Free League does such an amazing job of making it look cheap and effortless, that then you have to bring those prices down, or it looks like a ripoff, which is not great, because we know that that's not the case.
Well, this is happening right now in the video game world too, because they want to charge $70 for games, and like because price. My best friend works for Santa Monica. He works for God of War, and that's a problem. Like because the cost of slicing the software they use to make these games is going up and up and up, and the profit margin is going lower.
Well, I tell you what though, I was looking at some shows on the YouTube retro gaming, and they were talking about, actually it was the Atari Jaguar, and they were showing the list prices for these games. So we're going back 20 years or whatever, and they were $60, $70, £60, £70. I mean, I don't remember them being that expensive, but at the same time, I wasn't paying.
Of course, you don't remember them.
The Neo Geo.
You didn't buy them
like
because no one bought the Atari Jaguar games.
No, but that's an example. But the point is,
there's a reason why there's no Jaguar 2 or Jaguar 3.
Well, it wasn't really 64-bit. But the point being that they were £40, £50 20, 25 years ago, and they're still that.
But this is happening with RPGs as well. You can see it in RPGs. You can see the way people look at it. They look at Wizards of the Coast and they go, "Look, I can buy all these D&D books for blah blah blah." And it's like, you are not good. These other companies cannot compete with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I would put Paizo up there as well. You can't compete with that.
So, Doug, basically what we're telling you is that Free League need to charge more.
You know,
I would pay.
It's funny because that was a sentiment that was given at Gen Con. They're like, I don't know how you create these books and charge so little, but you might want to think about charging more because
they would complain now because like I think that price point lets you like muscle your way into the market share, but like I don't know, there might be some pushback. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard, and as long as we're profitable and it all makes sense, like I'm not going to complain, but like I think people are like they're wondering how we're doing it,
and it's volume. And
how are you doing this?
Yeah. So
tell me your industrial secrets freely.
Very quickly, Mecha Monsters. You're looking at $15 for the PDF, $25 international print on demand, and $40 for the physical offset print if you're in the US.
So
the prices are fine.
Yeah, my comment on this whole thing is, especially on Mechas and Monsters, Back it if you like Pacific Rim. Back it if you want to see Alan and Gallant Knight Games succeed as a publisher.
Yeah.
Back it because it'll be a nice book. If especially in the US, it'll be offset printing. Like it'll be a quality book. The art is amazing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if the Gallant Knight Games hit retail in the UK. They probably do.
You can use most of the big retail. They're on most of the big distributors here in the States. So
yeah,
I don't know.
So maybe it's a case of if you're in Europe and you want the offset book, just hit it at retail.
I don't. I don't know for sure.
If you're in Sweden, get in touch with your local retailers and beg them, and they might import a few copies as well.
They might. Yeah.
SF Bulk in Stockholm. They certainly will if they get enough.
Nice.
So.
Good shout.
Yeah. Like I said, Alan's a good, nice guy, great publisher. He's done a lot in the industry. He's helped a lot of folks, and he used to work for Nocturnal, which used to also do Pendragon and all those.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, so just a super, super nice guy, and he's very good on Kickstarter. He is very communicative, so if there's any delays or anything, he'd let you know. And for a while there, all his Kickstarters were actually delivering early, which was amazing. And I'm like, dude, how do you even, like, that you can't keep this up, right? There is going to be a Kickstarter, and sure enough, there was. But like, he's like, and it broke my heart that I had to, deliver a month late on one Kickstarter. I'm like, dude, one Kickstarter was a month late. That's rough.
I mean, we're still waiting for Root, right? It's a year late, and they've still launched Avatar.
I mean, sometimes it's just life comes up, man. Holidays. I'm trying to fulfill by the end of the year, and it's like, hopefully, holidays don't screw me up. And that's the plan.
And with shipping, if you're shipping with the U.S. Postal Service during the holidays, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Because it's going to be the same thing as it was last year. Like I didn't get packages like a few states over for like a month.
And I told everybody out in the Kickstarter because it's not me. It's just COVID and Delta and whatever you want to call it. And hopefully it gets to where it needs to be. Shipping rates will also go down to after the 25th.
You hope.
Yeah, but they might not.
I mean, that was one of the major themes of Gen Con was. Yeah, we expected to have XYZ products here, but they're on about. We don't know when they're going to get here.
Well, PDFs. I mean, luckily PDFs are like okay. PDFs. Chew on this for a while, then you'll get the physical copy. Like everybody chill, whatever. So,
as I said in the interview that we had about Rain and Blood, the future for hipster Kickstarters is the fax level.
Oh, the fax level?
The fax level.
Fax
where you
pure madness. You're pulling it out.
Dot matrix.
That's what I have to do. I have
Not
to
even
Kickstarter
thermal.
stunts. I can be like the Jake Paul of Kickstarter. I have to like do insane stunts to get backers. Like,
that'd be amazing.
I will eat an entire bowl of thumbtacks if you back my Kickstarter. Like,
you heard it first. If you want to see Eric eating an entire bowl of thumbtacks, then hit the like button and let us know in the comments.
Subscribe, man. You're sitting my stuff.
Okay, we've got a bit of time left. Let's very quickly talk about. There is one Kickstarter that I definitely want to talk about before we wrap up. But before then, I think it's important that we make sure that this project gets funded. It's only got 2 hours left, and we need to give it some love. It's the Transformers Generation 1 chess set.
That is so badass.
No.
So awful.
So I'm a huge Transformers fan, and I'm telling folks, don't back this.
It's so
What are you
awful.
talking about? Look at this thing.
What transforms?
Nothing.
That's not fair.
What transforms?
Eric, have you seen the price of this, Eric?
No, what's the price?
Have a guess. You get 32 figures.
It's stupid.
Plus you get Galvatron and Rodimus Prime at the top level.
$100.
Have a guess? How much? They're resin and they're hand painted.
He's going to hand paint every single one of these.
It's Eagle Moss collectibles. So
I have I don't know. 200, 3 more.
1,000. Who cares?
I care.
Keeping him honest, Phil. Yeah, $700.
Yeah,
$700.
No.
And they look like that. I mean, just
I'm with Doug.
I mean, I love Transformers. This is my childhood right here, and
that Phil, that isn't your childhood. They've taken your childhood.
You're right.
And they've They've smashed it into nasty little bits of plastic and then molded it into Transformers that don't transform.
I know. I mean, my childhood is Transformers, and my best friend was like the president of the chess club when I was 7 or whatever.
That's a British prerequisite.
I know. I just like.
You know what I'm going to tell folks? Instead of backing that, back the new HasLab project that's on there, where you can get Victory Saber. Like the transforming. This
quite remember Victory Saber.
So Transformers Victory was a Japanese only series. It never came over here in the States, and it might not have come over there in the UK. I don't know.
That might be why. Yeah.
And
I saw this. It's fucking amazing.
But I love the series. This series was great.
Back that
instead. It's only like $170. And you get like 2 Transformers that like merge together and form Victory Saber, and like look at that. That's just freaking awesome.
Do they transform?
Oh yeah, that's what they transform.
Well, there you go. Transformers that transform.
I mean, it's no Unicron, but
where does one source out a guy who can produce for you a transforming model? Like where like is that a company online?
Fiverr, probably.
Fiverr.
I will make for you transforming robots.
So that was the one thing that I loved about Transformers as a kid, was just the engineering that goes into these toys, and like it's just like, dang,
the toxic paint that kill you. It's like an element of danger.
Oh yeah, that too. I was.
Well, this funny because the Veritech, like there's the skull, like Roy Foker's Transforming Skull 1 is like $300, and I stare at it all the time. I just can't collect any more stuff, guys. I can't. 40 years, I can't. But I look at it longingly all the time on eBay. I'm like, I want this in my house.
I'm not allowed to collect more stuff, but I still do.
Yeah,
it's like the man baby thing is already pretty hard in my house. I can't like it's like I got to be very selective about what I bring into this place anymore.
Yeah, I totally get that, but at the same time, when I see the Generations leader Galvatron,
it looks really good. It looks really good.
I didn't buy it, but I did not even consider the Jurassic Park tie-in that they're doing at the moment.
The Jurassic Park Transformers tie-in?
There's a Jurassic Park Transformers tie-in, yeah. They've been doing some pretty weird crossovers lately. They did like a Top Gun crossover.
Yeah,
they did a Ghostbusters Ecto-1 crossover.
No.
It's just so weird seeing my childhood so commodified down. So my childhood is so commodified down to the micro level of merging them all together.
Yeah. It's like, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like if you're Gen X, then it's like Disney owns every film you ever watched.
Yeah.
And every single cartoon that you watched now has multiple toy lines. It's like, what?
Yep, it's true too. It's the truth.
It's weird. I mean, I don't have kids, but it'd be weird to see their perspective of like these toys and properties that came out like 40 years ago.
They came out last week. I'm telling you,
Eric. These toys aren't for kids. Like,
I know. I'm not stupid.
These are totally for us. Like,
I know.
Like, there's no way. There's a whole separate Transformers line for kids. These are not like these. Like, you look at the toys that are on the shelves at like Walmart and stuff.
Yeah,
you can tell those aren't marketed towards kids. Those are marketed towards us. They're G1 characters or Beast Wars or whatever. They're characters that we've known, and now we're in our 30s and 40s, and we're gonna go back and we're gonna buy those toys because it reminds us of being a young kid.
I mean, this is basically our train sets now, right?
No, sure, that's a good point.
Right,
Phil.
that's true. That's exactly what it is.
Just like I'm in my basement with my trains, just like
yeah.
Honey, I'll be up later. Just like
what my dad used to do.
Your sudden and inevitable betrayal. Sorry, Doug. Go on.
No, that's exactly. That's a great analogy, and that's I'm going to use that going forward because that's definitely the truth. It's totally true because my uncle collected trains and had a whole big train set down below in his basement. That's kind of what it is for us.
Yeah. Except he actually would go down and press the buttons, and the trains would go round. Yeah. Mine are all on the shelf.
Well, they had the good grace to hide it in their basement, whereas we put the shelves behind.
Yeah, exactly.
On live streams.
I'm still dating women, right? So like you coming over to my house is like a big like test. Like, is this out all the time? Yes, you're gonna have to deal with this. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, all
if you can't name all of these, then you're out.
This is not gonna work. I don't know. It's just funny to me how
she's
like
called Arfie. Yes, she is. RC.
You know when you've got a winner, Eric, when she cocomes over and she's like, Rodimus Prime sucked as the Autobot leader.
Yeah.
Like, then you're like, okay, you're a keeper. I'm keeping you.
Or they start to rearrange them in gen order.
Exactly.
Like,
I went the day.
No.
Dude, I dated this girl and she had read the Dritz to Erden books, and I spit out my drink. She's, oh, you like Dritz? I was like, how do you know what that is? And like we talked about it. Her mom had read it, and that was like,
that's awesome.
If they're out there, man. I mean, what's funny is I take my design notebook to bars when I go and I draw maps and stuff like that, and like people have my earbuds in. They stop me, especially women. They stop me and ask me what I'm doing, and then I'm like, please don't make me have to explain to you what zines are. I'm not a poet. I can't really go into all this.
But the best bit of this story, which I know and no one else does, is that Eric's wearing a t-shirt that says "Stop me and ask me what zines are."
No, never.
On his back.
It's just like it's like a magazine. It's for like I can't. It's like a whole rabbit hole of things.
When you were talking earlier about zines, Phil usually does this thing at the beginning of the show where he's like, "What have you received in the last week?"
Oh yeah,
and he hasn't done it today, and I'm quite glad because
Has anyone received anything yet today?
And you were saying like, oh yeah, sometimes people do this like flex where they like show their zines, and I had some zines that I'd ordered ready, and I was like, I'm not doing that, man.
Because if you go on Discord, there's like people are just like they just flex them all out and like. So that's why in my Kickstarter, like I have a zine box just to be like, let me go ahead and put your stuff.
He's gonna do it now.
Look, man.
Has anyone received anything?
I had them already. I had them trifold zines.
I was
gonna say these look like ordnance survey maps.
Crypt the Crocodile. Hell yeah, dude.
Stockholm Cartel.
Yeah.
People watching this, Stockholm Cartel.
Hang on. I've got a thing. I can do it. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Prison Cryptomuye. I don't even know what that one says. Ossuary something.
Yeah, let's get our
Hell Lost. But this one is cool, man. Crypt of the Crocodiles. And then there's a big adventure. There's a big adventure. And this is by the guy, if you can see, Christian Salian. He is doing the hack of Merc Boy called Cyborg with
I've heard of that.
With Johan Nord right now.
So
those guys are working on that. That's the guy who's doing it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is excellent stuff. Get it if you can. Stockholm Cartel, search it, order.
And what are those things? What are they for? What are they? They modules?
OSR.
OSR modules. So they'll work with
basically if you any OSR system you play, they're compatible. Yeah. So you just plug them in and go. There's some of them that they even say like Death in Space. So like if they work with Death in Space, if they work with Death in Space, then they would probably work with Mothership too.
Yeah.
Oh, that and Vasgrim, like all that stuff. Like it's all
exactly.
So this is a topic that got brought up at Gen Con, and I think it's good, and it was going to be a topic that maybe I was going to save for one of our shows, but I feel like this panel could probably tackle it pretty easily and pretty well.
We're almost as good as Doug's regulars, is what he's saying.
No, well, I'm saying that I think we've got a lot of great viewpoints here in this in this on this panel, and I don't know how much time you want to go, Phil, but this might fill a little bit of time. But so with the success of Morkborg, we're seeing a lot of, I hate to use the word, but copycat.
I agree.
We've seen a lot of copy, and while I think that's good, it's also bad in a way because it kind of makes your brand and what you're known for just so much in your face all the time that people might get sick of it. Do you think that we're going to get to that point where the Morkborg, that type of style of RPG is going to be overdone and people are just going to be like, okay, I'm done with this. Like, give me something that's not laid out like crazy.
Well, as an artist, I have a pretty strong rebuttal to that. So number one, there are a bajillion Morkborg Kickstarters. They're all but they don't. Because some of my stuff could be. I've been accused. My stuff is kind of poppy, like Morkborg. It was always that way. But the issue I'm having now is Morkborg opened the door, but they haven't walked through it. You don't have to copy the yellow, black, scribbly stuff. Just take the punk rock parts of it and make it Morkborg. You don't have to like keep adding chapters to that book, because a lot of these maps look like the Morkborg team made them. That's not the point. Yeah. Like take that punk rock rebellious art style and push it even further. My advice to all the designers out there who are kickstarting stuff: zines come from the punk rock community. They're from Xeroxing stuff. Look there, all these gutter punk zines. Look there and make RPG more from that material. Don't just copy and paste the scribble, like the black and white. They did that. I guarantee you. Maybe I'm wrong, but if the Morkborg guys make more stuff, I guarantee instead of like copying their own style, they'll probably push it forward into something new.
I don't doubt it.
I mean, I'm kind of. I feel like I'm kind of on the other side, because the reason that Johan Nohr, Pelle Nilsson came out with the open license for their game was because they wanted people to mimic that. They wanted to carry that aesthetic on. Now, they're also happy for people to produce content that looks different. But if you go on the Merkboy server, Discord server, you know, when people are coming out with this stuff, not so much Pelle because he's not as active, but Johan is very much like, this looks amazing, this looks awesome, I love it, I love it, I love it. He's quite happy with it. Now, if people themselves start to get bored with that aesthetic, that's not really something he can control. But what I would say is,
he can't.
Ex Libris, Liber Ludorum, the people that collate all of the Merkboy stuff, they had their own Kickstarter recently. They are saying, you know, there's over, I think the last count that I saw, there was over 666 Merkboy expansions, people that were developing things. People are not tired of this just now. It might happen, but if you look at the artwork for Sideboard, it has that element, but it's different.
It's different.
Well, and we can talk about Vaskrim too, because Vaskrim is, I mean, it's somebody ran that space and they took the Morkborg and put it in space, which is fine. I mean, they went to a new. I'll cut that as a slack because the book is beautiful. I mean, it's you know, it's a beautiful book.
I don't love the typography layout. Actually.
Yeah, I've some of the layout is a little wonky, but
it's great. I'm really looking forward.
I mean, I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of anything that Johan Nohr touches, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He's doing the layout for another Free League Kickstarter, Into the Odd, right now.
Right.
Yeah.
He's doing the graphic design on that, and it doesn't look like Merkboy.
No, it doesn't.
It looks.
He also did the layout for Symbaroum, for example.
He did the layout. It's now switched hands to.
But the original layout though, which has been continued throughout. I mean, it's really easy to lay a book out once you already have the templates.
Is it Dan Alstrand now that's doing the layout?
Well, now Symbaroum? Actually, a lot of it's just done by Matthias Jonsson Holkers. So.
Well, no, I think it was one of the guys that was on Troubleshooters that now does the layout for Symbaroum.
Alstrand is certainly Alstrand is definitely involved. But when I spoke to Matthias about one of the most recent books, he was saying, "I'm doing the layout now." So whether or not he was doing it personally or they were working together, I don't know.
And I just want to go back and say that this wasn't me bringing up this topic was not me not being a fan of Johan. Johan is amazing. I love his layout and everything. I'm just wondering, as we're seeing more and more of this, I think if folks want to put more products out for Morkborg, find your own spin to it.
Exactly.
Like Eric said, don't be an automatic copy of what Johan puts out, because yes, that's flattering, but it doesn't really do that brand any justice.
But some people are going into partnership with him. Like, for instance, Chris Bissett at Pangalactic on Twitter, he put out Treasures of the Troll King, and he actually got Johan Nohr to do the artwork for it. Yeah. So in that sense, it's like that then feels like a natural extension.
Like, I'm not going to lie to you. There's my team, my guys, we've been talking about doing something from Morkborg, like, just because I know how I can make a style that's reticent, in my opinion, to that stuff.
Sure.
But I wanted to bring something in that would be add to it, not necessarily keep it like this. And then to see how community responds to it.
I think. And it's really hard to differentiate it. But what I would say is if you look at something like Kinless, which is just completed,
exactly
totally different.
That's the type of thing that I'm talking about. Like if we had more products like that, I think that would be great. The other thing we really need to acknowledge here is what Johan and Pele did for layout in just general.
Yeah.
Like so many RPG layout artists, and
we just talked about this. Look at Mothership. I mean, that's what brought me there. It's like, thank God, like somebody figured this out. Like this is annoying.
They're taking more chances now than they did before. Like, and I think that's a good thing. Like now that we've seen that it can work and you can do weird things with layout.
Yeah,
people are
making changes. Now goes back to what Eric said. This is all punk. It's all come from punk. Yeah,
I mean, you can find all those old zines like I don't actually name the publications now, but like a lot of those guys, they would, they'd put out scene magazines. They rip out magazines, they'd lay them all out like pagination, like old school, and they do photocopies. Yeah, and that's what they used to do. And that Morkborg, I mean, he knows what that is. That's what it. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what it's trying to emulate. And that's what so go there and look. Go to find the guys who are putting out zines on Word, like Microsoft Word and stuff like that, and see what they're doing, and then take that into Morkborg.
Or even the bigger things like Mad Magazine and stuff like that, if you go back far enough,
I understand, though, if some people might want to put out an adventure, and they might not want to come up with their own style.
Sure.
They may want to mimic the style because they're like, well, this is for a game that I love, and I actually really like the style, so they're not wanting to actually create a style of their own, and that is okay.
Oh, absolutely.
You pay an artist to I mean, I source out artists, and I'm like, I'll write it, or maybe I'll do the art. I'll write it, and then I'll find a guy who can give me some tear sheets and look at some stuff. I don't know. There's things you can do if you don't feel comfortable doing your own artwork. You can go on Carbon Made. You can go on ArtStation and find a guy that you can.
And this isn't me saying don't put out creative projects for Morkborg. This is me going, okay, if you want to be successful and keep putting out Morkborg content, you can try to find out what's going to make your product stand above everybody else's, because everybody's doing it right now.
It all does look very, very similar. Now it's really hard to find something that differentiates now unless from quality or whatever.
Now, we talked about layout, but I gotta tell you, I got some feedback for you. When it comes to some of the Alien Alien RPG, some people I know were not happy about how spread out the material is in that book.
Yep. No, I've heard that complaint before.
It's like I had to read I've run every scenario multiple times for my friends and people online in that game, so I know the books front and back. But I really had to study them.
That's pretty common with Free League books as well. To be honest,
I would say that I love Free League books. I have pretty much most of them. But my one complaint would be that on most Free League books that they tend to spread a lot of that stuff out through the book. And while it can be nice it actually works well to read.
It's
a little bit harder to run.
Reference at the table.
This is why I do all of my Free League roleplay running with a PDF. Yeah, actually, I use the tabs for constructing what I'm doing in my head, but when it comes to running, PDF every time, because you can search.
Well, even back in those box sets will have a reference guide where it's like, here's just the rules, and you go.
Well, that's what I always tell people when I do conventions, and we've got the core rulebook in the starter set. I that's the main selling point of the starter set. I said, if you have the core rulebook as a GM, pick up the starter set, because it's got that condensed rule book, which is only 100.
You can put that on the table.
You put that on the table. It's so much easier for players to flip through and reference.
Yeah. That's what I said regarding the Zimbrum.
Where is the Android critical table at? Oh, I cannot find this thing, man. That's kind of thing that happens.
Which table did you want? Yeah. We are running out of time. So I'd like to very quickly, let's bring us to the last thing that we have to talk about, because it was on the graphic at the start. So I kind of feel obliged, which is, of course, Into the Odd Remastered. Now, I remember Doug and I spoke about Electric Bastion Land back in the days of the Friday fill-in, which is the precursor to this show over on Victory Condition Gaming. Gosh, a year or so ago, I would guess, maybe more. and I didn't back it.
Bastion Land, really?
Yeah. I was going through a phase of OSR.
One guy wrote that whole book into layout. That is so impressive. Blows my mind. It makes me feel like an idiot because
don't get me wrong, I regret not getting it.
You're just a contrarian, man.
I'm just honest. I didn't back it, but it doesn't mean I don't regret not getting it. It's just at the time it was not something that I had any interest in running, and even now I don't think I would run it. However, Into the Odd, I love the look of for so many reasons. I don't know the original property, and I don't mind saying that, but what they've done with this really
it doesn't look anything like this, the original property.
No.
I would say
exactly. A lot of this, I'm not going to play the video, but if you play the video, it reminds me a lot. There's an artist called Dave McKean. And Dave McKean does a lot of the cover work for Vertigo Comics stuff like Sandman.
It does look like that. You're right.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. And I'm just going to come back. And a lot of this art is very reminiscent of that to me. So that was the first draw for me. It was written by Chris McDowall, as we said, Electric Bastion, and we've already established
136 pages.
In a digest format, which means it's one of those few books that will actually look half decent on my shelf next to the Deadlands.
See, stuff. This to me is like highbrow auteur gaming stuff, like where it's like we all have like PhDs and we're running an RPG. Stuff like
pretty much.
It's like this beautiful, like well-written piece of fiction
version, which I shall bring up as well.
I think for comparison, the original PDF was somewhere in the 20-odd, 30 pages range. So, like the original one, this is quite an expansion from that. There's a lot of really nice artwork, graphic design, and I think there's a bit more in terms of adventures in there as well.
I kind of want to see somebody
like a bit more accessible.
I'd like to see a good let's play of this with people in character doing the whole thing and to really sell me on it. Because every time I think about running it or Bastion Land, it's always like I don't want to run it with a bunch of guys, kind of like Coriolis. I don't want to run it unless we're like taking the material seriously because it's so like heavy. So like Symbaroum too. Like I would love to play that, but I can't. No, like my friends are like.
Yeah, you have to be high art shit, man. Yeah. I mean, we're doing Symbaroum at the moment. We're almost 2 years into the campaign now.
That's amazing.
But it's hard because we're doing the published campaign. I'll just change camera view for a second. Because we're doing the published campaign, we're now at a point where I'm running it, where the players are going, I think my character would do this probably. I'm really torn. There's no easy solution here, and whatever I pick is an awful decision.
That's
because it's now at the point of politics, though. This is big politics. Like, there's half a dozen factions. They had to come to terms with the fact that they'd flat out lied to the most dangerous person in the Ordo Magica, like the Order of Wizards. They'd lied to his face, and they didn't know that he knew that.
Consequences,
man. That was yesterday. It's like, they decided to tell the truth, and they're lucky they did.
I mean, I love putting players in that situation where it's like you have a series of bad choices, make the one that you want to stick with, and we're gonna have to stick with it. I love those because it forces them to look at each other and be like, "What? What do we do?" And like that's when the real good, the memorable parts of the camp comes out.
Yeah, I had a guy.
I had a guy at the last scene of Cherry of the Gods. He's like, the android comes out, and she's like, you can't leave with this. You have this disease, Doug. And he basically was like, get out of here, kid, and like basically torched the ship and went down with the ship. And like, he was infected. He didn't want to leave, and he had to make a choice. And we still talk about that moment today because he basically sacrificed himself so the one surviving kid, the porter, could get away. And that was a pretty powerful scene, and we still talk about it today with my friends. Making those tough choices in the moment and living with the consequences.
Exactly. And it's hard, and you need to have a party. Come back to what you were saying, Eric, is you need to have a party that wants to take that journey, and that's a hard thing to do for everyone at the table. And if you have even one person who's not gotten to that point of wanting to invest that way, be it for 2 hours or for 2 years or whatever,
sure,
then you can't really play that sort of game and trust that everyone's going to be able to embrace it. And I think you're right for a lot of these sorts of games, even if it's something simple like this, or as we were talking about at the top of this, Martin has I think this was in the green room. Martin has convinced me that I need Troika in my life.
I mean,
and he's right.
You know,
it's like being a stripper, man.
You might not like it, but at least I made some money for a company that I like. So.
Well, I think I'll love it. That's the problem. And I'm all over the kind of absurdist humor, and I think it's going to be great. But you have to have the right people at the table. Going back to Into the Odd, when you have artwork like this, you have to have people at the table who are going to look at this art and interpret it appropriately. Andy said very appropriately, the art reminds him of Terry Gilliam's animation. Yeah.
I mean, Charles Dickens, those books. I mean, that kind of stuff comes to mind. Those woodcut, those
exactly.
I would say as well that both Into the Odd and Electric Bastion Land, like Mörkborg and like Forbidden Lands, are very Swedish. Electric Bastion Land and Into the Odd are very British, and it's like
same with Troika as well.
And this is a really good snapshot of where the indie RPG scene, OSR RPG scene, is in the UK at the minute.
I read or heard something when I was investigating Troika over the last couple of days.
In my Discovery series on Troika.
Well, the thing is that this really stuck with me. Troika is a game that imagines what if the 1990s British RPG revolution had not failed massively. And it's exactly that. It kind of feels like it's picking up Troika, Bastion Land, Into the Odd from the whole, and I know Troika is kind of more derivative of this anyway, but from fighting fantasy, from the absurd parts of Warhammer, and
put it on stream, man. Do a play of it. Troika. Get Martin to run it and sell me on it.
Martin won't run it.
Man, no, you don't want to see me run games.
It's like Martin, I want to play like.
That's how I feel when I run games on this.
Who framed Roger Rabbit? The role playing it. That's what
I've got Toon in the case somewhere. I'd love to run Troika. It hasn't arrived yet. It will happen. Probably isn't appropriate for our upcoming.
I will
Halloween
run.
Fest.
I will run any game, anytime, anywhere. But there has to be rules, though. There has to be like real consequences to actions.
Do you need to know what the game is, or can we just pick it like and you turn up?
If you pick it, I'll research it.
No, you don't get to research it. You're gonna have to run it.
Open it up.
You just run it on the fly.
Just like hold on a second.
Run a Rain in Blood one shot for the Dark Orb.
If there's no combat, then I could probably wing almost any. Combat's where you're like, okay, let's slow this all the way down because I don't know what the hell's going on. Initiative, are we doing this?
Yeah, let's finish talking about Into the Odd, and then we're going to talk about next month very quickly. So, Into the Odd, Freya Ligan are helping with this printed copy, £28. That's all you need to know. There's a PDF copy. Get the printed copy, unless you really aren't allowed to. In which case, fine, get the digital. But this is going to be a book that you're going to want on the shelf, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's OSRE. The rules are simple. The world is complex, but not in a hard-to-access way. There's a read-through if you want to listen to someone that isn't a voice actor.
And if you have Electric Bastion Land and you don't know about Into the Odd is basically the prequel in terms of where the timeline lies. So it's the same world, but it's what happened before Electric Bastion Land. You don't need to know either one, but if you have Electric Bastion Land, then you can, you can kind of, you can see where it came from, very much so. And also I would say that this is in partnership with Free League, the same way that Mörkborg was.
Yeah.
This is a Free League workshop. Correct me if I'm wrong, Doug. This is them handling the publishing and distribution. But they don't own the rights, as far as I'm aware.
we'll probably like advise like here and there a little bit if there's any questions, but most of it's all handled by the designer and everyone, and we're just doing the finishing and making sure that it's a nice product and getting it out there.
And also it was I saw some comments that people were like, oh, can we order Electric Bastion Land? And you can't, because this is a free
That's a good point.
Kickstarter.
That's a good point to make. Before
Bastion Land Press deal with Electric Bastion Land. You need to go to them.
So you can, but you need to go through the appropriate channels.
Exactly.
So Andy, Exodus Dev, has pointed out that you need to run Thirsty Sword Lesbians tomorrow in London Zoo. I'll get you the address for London Zoo after the show.
That is like not my cup of tea. And I'll run it. I ain't no punk, man. But one thing that I do like, and I think I brought this up I think you did a cast, Doug. I'm not sure when this was, but like, if you can normalize somebody reading through a RPG. So when I read cover to cover, so when I'm at work and somebody could read the whole book to me to help absorb it faster, that would be
for the lore. That would be really good.
Or whatever, just
like an audio book.
An audio book of the core of the book. So I can just listen to
Tears in the Machine. Tears in the Machine Kickstarter. They did that. It was one of their stretch goals for accessibility.
Yeah.
If there's
whatever you want to call it,
late back, people should do that, because that is something that people should start doing.
Hell yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like just like I'm at work, like doing something, and I can listen to it and help me absorb the material, of the flow or whatever, and just a nice even voice, maybe a little British dude in there, whatever.
Yeah, a little bit of ASMR. That'll do
maybe nice. Phil, maybe we just hire Phil to read RPG books.
Hire me, baby.
Just get Tomas to do it with his like laid back, European male model stuff. He can just be like,
absolutely.
just the ladies.
You definitely don't want me doing it, because it'll just be all over the place.
You can do the American bits.
So then you roll a D20 and you plus 5.
No big deal. Just chill. Just roll it.
We'll just get Tomas to read out the tables. And
then you get disemboweled. And then you bleed out your entrails. Oh
man, it has been a great show. Throughout October, we're planning to do All Hallows Month. We're already recording Cult Divinity Lost. We're doing Gallery of Souls.
You putting that up on the page?
No, it's gonna be there soon. We're gonna be showing that. I think there's gonna be about 5 sessions of that, so we'll probably do one a week. Hoping to get some more stuff up, potentially Trophy Dark, McDowall, Mothership. Hopefully Eric will have some time and can help us out with that. And I know Andy is thinking of doing something for that maybe too, or maybe even Traveller. Doug, if you're around, we'd love to have you on, but that's not something you have to commit to right now. In the meantime, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you to everyone for sticking around, for your comments, to Jason, Andy, Bruce, trying to see who else we had actually actively in the comments.
You're well
as well. Probably going in inverse order. Thank you, Doug. It's been really good to see you. I'm pleased that you have survived Gen Con.
I'm actually headed to Origins here on Tuesday. So
look at you working, man.
It's crazy. And then I've got a few weeks off and well, not off, but not doing conventions.
You got a few weeks during October to help us out.
There is burnout.
That's great.
There is burnout with conventions, man. I mean,
they're really
you know what the funny thing is? Like, I would say that normally I would say no, that's not too bad because they're all spaced out. Everybody decided to have their conventions like within the same 6 weeks this year. So it is very tough. Like this, this month. But
I just party too much, man. I just party too much, dude.
It must be hard carrying all those medals around.
See, Doug's like he's a kept man. So when you let him out of the cage, he just goes wild. Like,
oh, look at that!
There's more trophies.
Right.
Yeah.
So Doug, where can people find you?
You can find me at Origins. I forget what booth number I'll be at, but you can come visit and say hi. I'd love to have. It was awesome meeting everybody at Gen Con. I'd love to meet even more people at Origins, but you can also check us out at Victory Condition Gaming.
Check us out at Victory Condition Gaming.
What's that?
Did you just say that? You just said check ass out.
Check us out. Did I say check
Doug's
it?
ass.
No.
You said ass.
Nobody wants to check this out. But you check us out at Victory Condition Gaming. We do all sorts of actual play content, board game content, tabletop content. We've also got usually we try to do at least 2 episodes, 2 audio podcasts a week. And if you're in Vermont, which your audience is probably not, you can also listen to me on the radio at Tuesdays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on one of the radio stations here. So,
are you going to say which one that is, or we just got to guess?
You just have to guess.
Okay, excellent. Martin, thank you so much again for joining us. How can people find you?
Generally on the Dark Orb talking shit about RPGs. But
that's not the name of the server. It's not called
that needs to be the new title of the segment.
It's like
talking shit about RPGs.
Yeah. Well, Doug yesterday accidentally called. We were Doug was doing his painting stream last night. Always worth watching. And he mistakenly, and I'm saying mistakenly because it obviously wasn't genuine, called us the Dork Orb.
Oh no, it's too
man,
apropos.
That's
what you all need to realize is that like most of the time I'm so burnt out that like I don't enunciate my words, so they all kind of just flow together.
Yeah,
so
we're all way, don't worry.
I mumble all the time, man. Same thing.
Eric, thank you again for your time today. Everyone is always welcome back. And
sure, anytime.
Please, you're welcome back as well. How can people find you? One last shout out for the Rain in Blood.
All you have to do to find me is Google my name, and there you have it. You can dox me. My address is probably on there. Like I don't believe in Twitter. Just Google Rain in Blood, Google Spider00X, and you can find me on Discord and all these places. Y'all know how that works.
And Rain in Blood is
Rain in Blood on Kickstarter. 5 days. Yeah. Shout me out. Yeah, check it out, Doug. I'll show you how it's done, homie.
I haven't been home. I'm gonna check it out right now, Eric.
If there's still one left, there's $150 Uber pledge remaining, and I would be getting that if it was available to the UK. But
it's my love letter to
people who don't live in the US.
Yeah, that's right. It's a one man.
I love you people not in the US.
I'm a one man band. I'm not like Sebastian Land, but a one man band.
Thanks again to everyone in the comments. Your contribution to us is invaluable. We will be doing All Hallows Month at the beginning of October. So in a week's time, we'll start scheduling that content out. Hopefully we'll have some Mothership, definitely some Cult Divinity Lost, hopefully some Merkbury and maybe some other things. But until then, thank you once again. And I hope that your dice rolls are better than mine. Take care, everyone.
See you guys later.
See y'all.